wonder if you can tell me a little bit about your experience around pre and probiotic. I've noticed that you've looked at single strains in the Natron line, and how some people, I know that some people are even starting, and like you had talked about, Infidus, just starting with the infant first strain into the gut. If you just speak a little bit on pre and probiotic.
Yeah, I talk about the Natron brand because, and I even had people looking over in Germany for me, which is Germany's usually a leader in these types of things. There's nobody who is culturing, packaging, and shipping refrigerated the way Natron does. So it makes me look like a Natron salesperson, which I really don't like, but honest to God, there is no other brand who is maintaining all the steps needed to produce a therapeutic level of bacteria. And I've actually toured their factory down in California. I had to gown up, surgical gown. I had a mask, I had the cap, I had booties. I was covered from head to toe before I was allowed to step foot in their facility. And when I was in there, I was looking at, even the ceilings were spotless. So these are people who completely understand the intelligence and the adaptability of microorganisms. Like, microorganisms are so freaking smart. It's not even funny. Have you seen the work of, oh my gosh, blanking on her name right now, starts with a B, but she talks about how the bacteria talk to each other in the Bonnie something. Have you heard of her work?
Bonnie is her first name?
I think so.
Okay.
And Bazarus. Anyway, so example, people think, oh, I eat something tainted with, bad bacteria, food poisoning, and then all of a sudden I'm vomiting and blah, blah, blah. Or I go somewhere and I catch an infection and then all of a sudden blah, blah. They now know that's not what happens. What happens is the pathogenic bacteria get into your system. They don't make a peep. Your immune system does not know they're there. They lie dormant and they start multiplying and multiplying. And then every so often they wake up and they talk to each other. The whole mass of bacteria have intercommunication capabilities, and they say, hey, how many of us are there? Is there enough of us yet? Nope, go back to sleep. They go back to sleep. They keep reproducing. When they wake up, because they know how many they need to have a shot at overwhelming your immune system. So obviously they can sense the state and capability of each body's immune system to know when there's enough of them that they can have a chance at overwhelming you. So then they go, is there enough? Yeah, there is. Boom. All of a sudden you're vomiting. That's when you feel I haven't, but they've been in there for God knows how long, can be hours, can be days, waiting until there's sufficient number and strength to actually make a run for the goal. And that's when they kick into effect. And then your body goes, holy cow, invaders, and mounts it. So these are maybe single-celled organisms, but they encapsulate the intelligence of the universe. Like, we talk about a drop of water. Well, let's talk about a single cell as within, so without kind of thing. So again, Natron is the only company that I know of who is fully cognizant of this and so rigorous on maintaining, the purity, making sure the strains, the species aren't mutating, making sure all of these factors that go into producing a therapeutic level microorganism. And then maintaining that, because it is a fresh live product, it's maintained at the required temperature at all times. And when it leaves their warehouse, their factory to be shipped, it goes in refrigerated. Now it can hit room temperature for about 24 to 36 hours and not lose vitality and not lose life force. And then when you're edging towards 48, you're going to start to see a bit of a reduction. So when I have people try them, they get very different results from any other probiotic they've used. And there's a colon clinic in Sydney that took 6 of the top probiotics. They had these patients, they'd already gone through a series of colon hydrotherapy and cleansing. They were already on a very specific diet. Then they had them take the probiotics, and Natron was the only one that significantly increased the fecal counts. So they knew the bacteria were actually colonizing, they were actually having a therapeutic effect. And so then that's what made, they only use Natron in their clinic, and they actually use probiotic retention enemas of only the Natron bacteria to stop active bleeding Crohn's and colitis. Now that's something that I don't do. I think because I had experienced this intolerance that the body gets to any kind of bacteria, which is why, as you discussed, people sometimes they have to start with just the B. infantis, the baby strain. And sometimes they can only take a pinch because their body can go into a flare because they become hypersensitized to any bacteria, whether it's their own or foreign source or good or bad. The body is just kind of in a state, right? So that type of application just felt too extreme for me, felt too risky. But they've been using it successfully. So whatever, that's where you listen to your gut. So, but for my readers, what I suggest is they start orally with just, a pinch of whatever they feel led towards. Now, if you have diarrhea, you want to start with either the B. infantis, the baby one, or the bifidobacter, because that firms up the stool if you have diarrhea. If you have constipation, you want to start with Digestolac, which is an L. bulgaricus bacteria, because that helps to loosen the stool. But eventually you do need all the species to get that really healthy gut flora. But you start with whichever one is most tolerated by your body. Now, if you're having a lot of heartburn, you're going to want to start with Acidophilus, because that's going to give you instant relief there. So you kind of play with it. You let the body see, look, we can help you right away. We can help you. And then over time, people build up, and they eventually build up to, all 3 or all 4 species in the amounts that they can tolerate. And then the next step to that, what people find really helpful, is to do probiotic layering. So the Natron product comes in single species powders, single species capsules, and then the Healthy Trinity, which is all 3 species together, but each one is in its own oil bubble. So they're not touching. They're like this It takes 1 week to microencapsulate them. So they have this machine, they had it custom built in Germany and shipped over. So everyone else who mixes species together, they're just mixed. They're all in there. And now they're competing for dominance. By the time you ingest it, there's probably 1 species left, because bacteria are competitive. That's how they roll. So, there's all these things, and the consumer doesn't know these things, but probiotics are a massive moneymaker. So everybody's jumping on it. And so you have a ton of people say, I tried probiotics, they didn't work. Or I tried probiotics, they made me worse. Yeah, because these are live creatures. And so you need to have a bit of intelligence in terms of where's your body at, how do you increase, which species do you start with? And again, the other companies don't break them up into single species powders, so you can't start with just a pinch. You're stuck with whatever dosage they put into the capsule or what have you. So now the prebiotics are great if you already have a healthy gut flora, because there's no discrimination between bad and good bacteria. There's species of both that eat the same food. I mean, obviously, because you eat the food that you eat. So obviously they're going to thrive on the same food supply. So prebiotics, same thing. If your gut is predominantly bad bacteria, you're just going to feed them as well. And so that's why a lot of people with IBD and IBS, if you consume prebiotics, you get an increase in gas and bloating pretty much very quickly. So I say no prebiotics. And again, that's why Natron never packages their bacteria with prebiotics. That's something that you can choose to do after you've got implanted a really good gut flora. Maybe you're at the stage where you can tolerate naturally fermented foods. So now you're fermenting your own vegetables, your kefir, your kombucha, and your system can handle those. Well, then add in the prebiotics. And then, then they'll feed your beneficial bacteria. So it's just a matter of timing on that.
That was very helpful and brilliant. Thank you. A couple things out of this, and very helpful. I really appreciate it. pull things out of this is, I think you were talking about Bonnie Bassler.
Thank you. That's her.
I'm going to study, I'm going to research her a little bit more. I really appreciate that.